This week, there were two libraries from China that were released, open source. One is a problem solver that's very powerful, and another one is a large language model that's equal, and in some cases exceeds the one from Meta, with it they use every day. It's called Llama 3, 400 billion. I was shocked when I read this because I had assumed that in my conversation with the Chinese, that they were 2 to 3 years late. It looks to me like it's within a year now.
China has just dropped this huge news on the AI world. They've come out with two insanely advanced AI models, and the wild part? They're completely open source. Like, anyone can download and use them. And what's really blowing people's minds is that even Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, has said this is a game changer. In a talk at Stanford, he straight up admitted that China, which everyone thought was a couple of years behind in AI, is now only 6 to 12 months away from catching up with the United States. Let that sink in for a second. A year ago, people thought China was struggling to keep up. And now, they've closed the gap way faster than anyone expected. It's crazy. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's just dive into what's actually going on. First, let's talk about what Schmidt said. He mentioned two specific AI models. One is called DeepSeek R1, and the other is Qwen 2.5 from Alibaba Cloud. Now, DeepSeek R1 is this massive language model, kind of like ChatGPT or GPT-4. But here's the kicker, it's open source, and it's already beating some of the top models from the United States in key benchmarks. The second model, Qwen 2.5, isn't as big as DeepSeek R1. It's smaller, leaner, like 72 billion parameters compared to hundreds of billions in models like GPT-4. But don't let that fool you. It's crushing benchmarks too. Schmidt actually admitted that he underestimated China's progress. He thought they were a few years behind, just like most experts did. But nope, they're right there, and in some areas, they're even pulling ahead. Alright, let's talk about DeepSeek R1 for a second. Because this thing is a beast. First off, it's breaking records and benchmarks. Those tests that measure how well an AI understands language, reasons through problems, and generates responses. DeepSeek R1 isn't just good, it's outperforming OpenAI's O1 preview. That's a model that everyone thought was unbeatable when it came out. And the fact that it's open source? That's a huge deal. It means researchers, developers, basically anyone can download it and tinker with it. But of course, there's a dark side to that too, right? Like, what if bad actors use this tech for, deepfakes, cyber attacks, or worse? It's a double-edged sword. The takeaway here is that DeepSeek R1 proves China isn't just copying what the United States is doing, they're building models that are competing at the highest level. Now let's get into Qwen 2.5. This one's fascinating because it's all about efficiency. Here's what's crazy. While OpenAI reportedly spent over $100 million to train GPT-4, Alibaba trained Qwen 2.5 for a fraction of that cost. And even though it's smaller in size, it's performing just as well, sometimes even better than much bigger models. It's also been climbing up AI leaderboards. Like, these aren't just random rankings. These are legit tests that evaluate things like reasoning, creativity, and speed. And Qwen 2.5 is right up there with the best of the best. What's happening here is that Chinese developers are figuring out how to do more with less. They're not relying on massive budgets or cutting-edge hardware. Instead, they're optimizing the heck out of what they have. That's a huge advantage because it shows they can innovate even under constraints. Speaking of constraints, let's talk about the hardware issue. Here's the thing. The United States has slapped China with all these restrictions. They've banned the export of advanced semiconductors, like NVIDIA's H100 GPUs, which are basically the gold standard for AI training. On top of that, companies like TSMC won't sell China the cutting-edge chips they need. So you'd think this would slow them down, right? Nope. Instead, Chinese developers have become crazy efficient with what they've got. There's this one example where a Chinese company trained a world-class AI model with just 2,000 GPUs. To put that in perspective, OpenAI reportedly used 20,000 GPUs to train GPT-4. That's insane. It's like running a marathon in flip-flops and still winning. And this isn't just a tech thing, it's geopolitical. The United States thought these sanctions would cripple China's AI progress, but they've only made them more resourceful. It's the whole necessity is the mother of invention thing playing out in real time. Now, let's address the big question. Why are these models open source? This is where it gets really controversial. Open source AI is great because it democratizes access to technology. It means anyone can use these tools, not just big tech companies. But it also means anyone can use these tools, good guys, bad guys, whoever. Think about it. What if a terrorist group gets their hands on an open source model and uses it to create deepfakes or hack into systems? The risks are real, and they're scary. On the flip side, supporters of open source AI argue that it's better to share knowledge than keep it locked up. They say transparency leads to faster innovation, and that the benefits outweigh the risks. It's a tough call, honestly. Some people even compare open source AI to nuclear weapons. Like, yeah, it sounds extreme, but the logic makes sense. If you let everyone have access to something this powerful, you're also increasing the chances that someone will misuse it. So, how's the United States responding to all this? Well, they're trying to double down. Congress is talking about a Manhattan Project for AI, a massive government-backed effort to stay ahead in the AI race. They're throwing billions of dollars at research, infrastructure, and partnerships with tech companies. But here's the thing. Regulating AI is tricky. You can ban hardware exports, sure, but how do you control open source software? You can't. Once it's out there, it's out there. And it's not just the United States and China in this race. Other countries, India, South Korea, the EU, they're all investing heavily in AI. The competition is global, and it's heating up fast. So, what's next? Honestly, we're entering a whole new era of AI. It's no longer just a United States-dominated field. China is proving they're a serious contender, and the rest of the world is catching up too. The big question now is, how do we use this technology responsibly? Because let's be real, AI is only going to get more powerful, and the stakes are only going to get higher. At the end of the day, this isn't just about governments or tech companies. It's about all of us. Whether you're a developer, a researcher, or just someone who's fascinated by technology, your voice matters. So what do you think? Are open source AI models the future? Or are they a disaster waiting to happen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. I've got more deep dives like this coming your way, so stay tuned.